From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
All right, folks, good morning. Welcome to the Practitioner Brief for December 9th, 2020. We have a lot of things to talk about today. So before I get started, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast. You can do so right now if you're watching us on YouTube by clicking subscribe and turning on the notification bell. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, please make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. That pushes up our ranking and helps us get more subscribers, and your support is greatly appreciated in doing that. You can find our entire practitioner brief on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com, including all of our other content, including our CISO Talk, our Veteran November series. Everything is available there as well. Now, let's get into today's practitioner brief. We have a lot to talk about. I'm calling today Trauma Wednesday. I'm calling today Trauma Wednesday because we have a lot of things to talk about, mainly the cybersecurity breach disclosed by FireEye, which we'll get to in a little bit, as well as a possible code execution flaw in Apache Strut. That is another trauma name that we all can remember. An Adobe security update and a critical unpatched bug in OpenGE radiological devices opens them up to remote code execution in the healthcare industry that continues to get hammered ever since COVID. These guys have been fighting not only ransomware attacks, but taking over of medical devices and so much more. So a lot to talk about today. Let's get right into the possible code execution flaw in Apache Strut. Apache Strut, which was one of the, according to the congressional report, the unpatched Apache Strut is what led for the Equifax breach at the time. So Apache Strut kind of, when people think of it, they think of Equifax almost one to the other. So the Apache Software Foundation released a security update for Struts 2 to address what is described as a possible remote code execution flaw related to the OGNL technology. The open source model view controller web application framework, which allows developers to build Java apps, is known to have been impacted by critical vulnerabilities, many of them related to the OGNL technology that Struts 2 employs. Tracked as CVE 2020-17530, the newly addressed bug resides in forced OGNL evaluation when evaluated on raw user input and tag attributes according to the Apache advisory. Specifically, when forced OGNL evaluation is applied using the percentage syntax, tags attributes could perform double evaluation, the company says. Furthermore, remote code execution could be achieved when forced OGNL evaluation is used on an untrusted input. A similar vulnerability tracked to CVE 2019-0230 was addressed in August of this year with the release of Struts 2.5.22. The workaround solution proposed by Apache is pretty simple. Developers should make sure that the forced OGNL evaluation is not used on untrusted input until they come up. CISA has already issued an advisory for this as well. So make sure you get that workaround implemented in your environment. Adobe launches a security update, the last one for the month of the last one for the year of 2020, and hopefully the last one for this month. Adobe's last scheduled security update has resolved critical vulnerabilities in Lightroom, Prelude, and Experience Manager. That was released yesterday. So CVE 2020-224447 is resolved. Also, CVE 2020-24440 for Adobe Prelude as well, and CVE 24445 for Adobe Experience Manager have all been taken care of. So just make sure you update your Adobe suite immediately if you're using any one of those three to take care of those vulnerabilities. I want to talk about Mandiant, but before I go in, I want to finish with the FireEye thing. So I'm going to kind of change order here a little bit. Let's talk about the critical unpatched bugs that are open in the GE radiological device to remote code execution. So paracritical vulnerabilities have been discovered in dozens of GE healthcare radiological devices, popular in hospitals, which could allow an attacker to gain access to personal health information, alter data, and even shut the machine's availability down. The flaw affects 100 different kinds of CT scanners, PET machines, molecule imaging devices, MRI machines, mammography devices, X-ray machines, and ultrasound devices. CISA disclosed the bugs on yesterday, which were found by researchers over at CyberMDX back in May. They carry a CVSS severity score of 9.8, making them critical, and patches are forthcoming according to the alert. The bugs arise because of the default credentials used with GE's proprietary management software, which controls the device's integrated PC that runs a Unix-based operating system. The software manages the devices as well as its maintenance and updates procedures, which are carried out by GE over the internet. The issue is that the update and maintenance software authentication connection by using credentials that are publicly exposed can be found online. First bug, CVE 2022-5175, allows specific credentials to be exposed during transport over the network, so over the TLS connection, while the second CVE 2022-5179 allows exposed default credentials to be utilized to access and modify sensitive information. CISA has said a patch is forthcoming, and so we should see that here pretty soon and get that taken care of. If you're in a hospital, just keep monitoring those machines and setting some safety precautions and controls in place. So let's talk a little bit about FireEye. One of our own has been hit. One of our own is impacted. It shows that none of us are prone to the attacks by our opponents and adversaries. FireEye took on a nation-state APT, according to multiple reports that I've seen. Some people pointing the finger to Russia, some people pointing the finger to China. FireEye has been silent, as they should be. An investigation is going on right now. We should not expect to hear anything from FireEye. FireEye says what was breached, however, was tools that their red teamers were using specifically within the government client sector. So they've had specific tools that they were using on government networks as part of their red teamer solution services, and there those tools were compromised and taken by this nation state actor. This is a huge challenge for us as an industry. It's something where we kind of have to look at it and start to kind of build those bridges and build those gaps to address it. There's not much in the terms of how they got in. The company is sharing the indicators of compromise and countermeasures on their GitHub account, so you can get that there. Kaspersky disclosed a similar breach. RSA also had something similar happen in 2011 and 2015, respectively. Avast was hacked twice, the first time in 2017 and in 2019 again. I think many of us need to understand that there is... we deal with challenges. Just because we're in security doesn't mean we're immune, doesn't mean people don't come at us. It just means that when they come at us, they come at our security vendors, they come at our organizations with the big guns. They don't send the JV team to do a varsity job, and that's what FireEye had to deal with, was a well-equipped nation-state attacker going after everything they had, and FireEye being FireEye, as large as they are and as successful as they are, and good for them and the work that they do over there. Going through this, a few things. Senator Mark Warner, big, we talk about Warner on the NTSC updates with Patrick Gall every so often on the CISO Talk podcast. He's the vice chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intel. Has come out and said that good for FireEye for coming out publicly. And letting people know that, doing it so quickly as well, not kind of waiting to run out the clock or anything like that, but really just putting it out there. That shows a maturity on behalf of FireEye. It also shows a maturity of our industry, and we need to behave accordingly as well. I issue you all a challenge. How can we support these folks, the people at FireEye today, the people that have, since this incident has happened, 2.5-3 weeks before the holidays. These people aren't going home to their families for Christmas. They're going to be working through this. You don't remediate a cyber, breach in 2 or 3 days. It takes months, weeks and months to get it down pat. And it takes a lot of man hours and a lot of work and a lot of people beyond everything else they're doing. So expect and send out your thoughts to those people. Offer to help, and don't try to capitalize on this for financial gain, please. I mean, whatever you do, just issue support. We can control this narrative as an industry. We can dictate how the media goes forward with covering cybersecurity breaches. It can remain sensationalized, like we saw what happened earlier this week when I spoke about the Shorebit situation in Israel last week, where just the media was sensationalizing the ransomware attack on that insurance company. Or we can identify the fact that FireEye is a victim of a crime. They need support, they need help, and we need to be better at sharing information and supporting one another. And that's my challenge for you today on Trauma Wednesday. And that's it for our practitioner brief today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, stay healthy and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.